I want to take a look here at Drew Brees, and he's a guy to me, like he's the reason that I'm probably even, definitely a Saints fan, but probably the reason I'm even talking with you guys, just because he got me into podcasting with the Saints and that stuff, which led me to FUV. So I mean, shout out Drew Brees, because he's just so important, I think. Not only to my fandom, but what he does in New Orleans, and you talk about his stats as well. I mean, career leading in passer, number 2 in touchdowns, and I know that it will all go away because Tom Brady will probably play forever, so he's going to take all those records. But Drew Brees, I mean, wins the Super Bowl for New Orleans. To me, he's a guy that I think his legacy to a city could be unmatched, just what he did with them and for a franchise. And again, he's a guy, once he retires, to me, is going to go down as top 10, top 5 best QBs.
Now, before I give any commentary, Andrew, I just want to say that almost makes me want to, like start shedding tears, man. That was beautiful.
It was sweet.
I'm not even joking. Like, I mean, he's a guy that, like you talk about, like when he was leaving the field and he took that last look back onto the Superdome, that like almost gave me tears. I mean, it did give me tears. It's like, I mean, that was like, he's like the one player, because I'm a big Mets fan, and David Wright, he was like the big player, for the Mets. He retired and Brees was going to be the next one. And now it's like that era is over. So definitely want to add that, but Brees unmatched in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you think about players and not just what they do for a team, but what they do for a city. For me growing up, that was Big Papi. That was in 2013 after the Boston Marathon bombing. Him going on the field and saying, "This is our city." That is something that I will always remember. And New Orleans with Katrina, I'm sure that's Drew Brees, and that's the Saints. It goes beyond sports, and it really, hearing you say these things just goes to show how much he's made of an impact on and off the field.
Yeah, I think Drew Brees is such a class act. I mean, he really is just so incredible, and we've all mentioned it, but really his effect on New Orleans cannot be understated. I mean, he really came into a team suffering right after Hurricane Katrina, and he came into a franchise that needed help, needed rebuilding, and a city that needed rebuilding, and he came in and he did that, and he was that guy. And I think it's funny, especially because he has sort of a complicated legacy and that he only has one Super Bowl win, but I don't think that necessarily entirely matters. I mean, he never won MVP, but I think he was the MVP always to the city. I just think that even though these national accolades weren't quite for him, I just don't think that should undermine his impact on the NFL and on Louisiana.
No, yeah, for sure. And, you talk about he helped heal Louisiana and New Orleans. I mean, he was the guy that came in to be the Saints. His shoulder was all messed up, and a lot of people didn't think he would play again. The reason that he was played for the Saints was because the Dolphins didn't want him. They said that his physical was bad. And I mean, it just shows you when, you talk about the one Super Bowl. I mean, you talk about New Orleans. I mean, they were a joke of a franchise. They're basically like, the Jets now. That was the Saints. They were 3-13. They had one playoff win in the whole entire franchise history before Brees. One playoff win. And to me, that's just so crazy. And talk about a guy, him and Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis, that whole, regime came in there and they made them perennial winners. And you talk about all those great offenses that he was in, and to only get one Super Bowl is sour. When you're like, as a Saints fan, like they were amazing over the last 4 years. They're a team that won like 49 games, which is all great. But you talk about 2017, they lost with the Minnesota Miracle and that craziness when Marcus Williams missed a tackle to Stephon Diggs. 2018, the refs took it away from them after the no call. And 2019, 2020, the Saints lose. I mean, that's how it is. And yes, I know everyone will say maybe the Saints didn't get 2018 taken away. They did, and I'll stick towards that, because if that call gets called, the Saints kick a field goal, they go play the Patriots, and I think they beat the Patriots. But
it's a lot of ifs. It's a lot of ifs, and
it's one if. It's one if they go beat the Patriots. I think they do. That's just my opinion. And I feel like that Saints team was dominant. You can look at through the season. I feel like that was the perfect blend of Brees still not on the complete decline, and that defense starting to come together good. And for him, it's unfortunate that like he declined, right when the defense got really good. Like if that happened 2 years earlier, like with Brees, like maybe he does win the Super Bowl. that's something that to me is interesting. And, he goes half a decade with his defense being the worst in football, which again, for him, it's just unfortunate that he only gets one Super Bowl. But to me, he's one of the all-time greats. And again, top 10 QB for New Orleans. To me, that's just so big. And
like at first I was thinking, wow, it's disappointing that Brees only won one Super Bowl, but is it disappointing that Peyton Manning only won one Super Bowl for the Colts? Is it disappointing that Aaron Rodgers has only won one Super Bowl for the Packers? Is it disappointing that Phillip Rivers hasn't won one? These guys have all had fantastic careers. And to be quite honest, Tom Brady has kind of ruined it for everyone with 6 rings. Like, oh, what, you're not happy with one Super Bowl, Drew Brees? Like, come on.